This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, Mike Sparks, your host for tonight. Got a big show. Real quick, I've got Mayor Mary Esther Reed. Thank you, Mayor, for calling in. How you doing?
I'm great. Mike, it was great to see you today at our annual Christmas parade.
Well, thank you. I know we've been planning this for what, like 2 months? I sent you a text like 2 months ago, right?
I will tell you, our team worked starting about in June or July to get ready for our
No, I'm
parade.
talking about my text. I just sent you a text like 12 minutes
that
ago.
text.
Well, he didn't send it.
Oh.
Okay.
Roger was sending it.
I said that.
Roger, thank you for thinking of me, Roger. I appreciate it. I know you always have my back.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure do.
No, it looked like it was successful. You know, I know y'all hadn't had a count on the canned goods. I always appreciate that. How much canned goods y'all raised for the Nourish Food Bank, formerly Smyrna Laverne Food Bank? I know y'all hadn't had a count or anything, have you?
We haven't had a count yet, but a couple of years ago when we decided to start this, you know, Smyrna is always so good about giving back and helping our neighbor. And we thought with as many people as we have that come out to enjoy the parade and also those that participate, we thought it was a wonderful opportunity to allow our citizens to help their neighbors. And between the food drive that our fire department does in November and this one that we do in December, I hope it helps the food bank get over that hump of those
Yes.
of our neighbors that are in need
Yes.
during this time of the year.
Yeah, well, I text Councilman Jerry Short earlier, and I guess is it fire station number 4, which is the old fire station, which was the old, what we'd call City Hall back in the day on Lowry, so folks can drop
Correct.
canned goods off there, right?
Absolutely. Or they can drop them off at Town Hall, whichever they'd rather do, and we will make sure that we get them to Nourish Food Bank. And we've even had some that wanted to drop off money, and if they want to make checks to the Nourish Food Bank, we are happy to get that to them as well. But, you know, we are so blessed to live in the community in which we do because they sure are always willing to give back.
Well, y'all, I mean, all the staff, the fire department, Mike Moss, and the Parks Department and Fire Department, Bill Culbertson and others do such a great job. Your new town manager, I can't never pronounce his last name, David Saracucci?
Santucci.
Santucci. Okay.
Santucci.
He seems like a great guy. Have you met his father, by the way?
I have met his father.
Man,
I actually got to meet him at the celebration out at the memorial the other day.
I went out to the VFW after, and they stopped by, and man, what a great guy. He looks like that actor. Is it Liam Neeson, something like that?
Liam Neeson.
Is that it? He's just a great guy, you know. And I was impressed with David as well, but his father just really great guy, you know. And I appreciate them coming by the VFW. But y'all always do such a great job. Looks like the rain really didn't damper anything, did it?
It sure didn't look like it. We started the parade at 2 o'clock, and we stood down to watch it come through and finished at 4 o'clock. So for 2 hours, people stood to wait to see the grand finale, which is Santa and Mrs. Claus at the end. But there were so many individuals, nonprofits, businesses within our community and surrounding areas that made today possible, along with all of our volunteers and so many town staff members that take their Sunday to come out and make sure that all of us get to have a good time. And so we appreciate everybody who made today possible.
Were you, with the first Christmas parade, was that 76 or 75? I mean, were you in it?
Will be our 50th year.
Okay.
You know what? I don't remember if I was in the first one because I would have been 4. Then.
Well, I'm sorry. I just
No. But I will tell you, so many of my memories are of being in the Christmas parade. And, you know, as I was on the golf cart coming down Lowry today, I looked at those little kids' faces, and so many you were seeing with generations of family.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want to create those memories that families can have together.
Yeah. Oh, it's touching.
So-
We ran out of candy at at the fire hall. I mean, I shouldn't tell you. Holly Butler, Kelly Butler, they always drive me to the parade, and I felt so bad. I'd seen the little kids, and I always feel bad for the kids way down there towards McDonald's and Taco Bell, and I'm thinking, I hope these kids get candy because everybody starts running out. Does that happen at the kids at the far end?
Well, I will tell you. So we had 4, a lot of people won't even know what I'm talking about, grocery bags, the old brown grocery bags full of candy. And we have learned that you have to ration the candy, that this bag I'm going to be done with at Pinnacle Bank. This bag I'm going to be done with at the bridge. Because if you don't, you do miss those kids at the end. So we made sure, and I will tell you, a lot of the floats still had candy there at the
Good. Well, I was kidding Holly about all these little kids and they don't get on candy. It's sad when they see they're looking up at you like, want some candy, don't have any.
I think you're the one that actually ran out, Mike.
We did quickly. Quickly. It doesn't take long, Well, Mayor, we sure appreciate what y'all do, your council, your new town manager, and it's a highlight of Smyrna, and to give back the Nourish Food Bank is just a tremendous asset to our community and those that are in need, because there's a lot of folks that are in need. I think Jeremy, our intern, wants to say something. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to say, I go back to the Smyrna Christmas Parade, because you and me, that was 2014. That was when I first met you.
Oh, really? You remember that? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Was you too?
No, I was a sophomore. I was a sophomore in high school. I was on Smyrna marching band.
Oh, okay.
We were part of that, and right as soon as we got done, we did our set. I was walking to my car. You said you stopped me for like, hey, can I take a picture real quick?
Oh, I did. God,
Yeah.
you got a good memory.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, sure. I just took out my sticks and
Oh, cool. Well, we're hoping Smyrna High Band and Stewart's Creek Band maybe be able to get to go to the inauguration of, any input you have.
Of course
on that,
they
Mayor,
would. Of course
we
they
hope
would after I graduate.
They can. It would be awesome if they'd be up there.
It absolutely would, and I know that we've got a lot of people that are behind the scenes trying to make that happen. But I think Jeremy's memory is a perfect example of what we're talking about. He still remembers you stopping him to have that photo. And so hopefully kids of all ages, whether you're young or old, are having those memories after today, or Christmas parades over the last 49 years. Next year will be our 50th year.
Yes.
So we're expecting big things next year.
Yes. Well, thank you, Mayor, for the great job y'all do. And listening, we've got Mayor Glenn Jacobs, who rumor is he may be considering running for governor. And a great guy. I know you've met him, I'm sure, on countless occasions. But appreciate what y'all do, okay?
Hey, Mike, thank you, and thank you for what you do for our community. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And the sidekick you got there next to you is doing a great job for Smyrna, too.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of old stories. Some of them we can't share on the radio.
Well, you're right, but you know what? We're losing those old stories day by day, and it's important that we keep that history around. So
Right.
y'all enjoy your night, and
Thank
I
you.
hope you have a great holiday season.
Thank you. You too, ma'am.
See you
All right.
later.
Good to talk to you, Mayor
Take
Reed.
care.
Bye.
We'll see you. We got the call? Okay. Caller, go ahead, caller.
Hey, this is Glenn Jacobs.
Hey,
How are you?
Mayor, how you doing? I just had the Smyrna mayor on with us just now, and we had a great Christmas parade over here in town. And I meant to read off your bio and do all that, but I think most people know who you are. So how's things going?
Man, everything's going good. Looking forward to Christmas, and everything's going well. How's things over there?
Well, we're doing okay. I just got through with a tough election. I had a bunch of money come against me. You ever heard of George Soros? I had those people come against me. I don't know if you've had that come against you yet. Let's hope you don't. But I always hear good things about you. Jeremy Faison wanted me to ask you what books you've read here lately, something like that. I guess it's some kind of some inside joke y'all got going on between each other.
Jeremy can't read. That's why.
Is that it? Okay. Anyways, he tried to make it sound so sophisticated. Yeah, like he's some deep academic, you know. Yeah. So how's
He
your?
only reads picture books.
Yeah. Well, I know y'all have had a lot of tough time out there with all this East Tennessee, the floods and the problems. He's out there in the thick of it. Jeremy. One reason I like Jeremy, I voted for Jeremy as our caucus chairman. Jeremy has a heart for people, the underprivileged, and Jeremy sometimes just says what's on his mind, which I like. You know, I like people that are just real and raw like that, and I think you're one of them. So as a mayor of Knoxville, you're kind of termed out, right?
Yeah, I'll be out of office in September of 26. We can serve 2 terms. And you're exactly right about Jeremy. He's a great guy. You know, in Knox County, we didn't get much damage from the flooding. In fact, really all we had to do was close a couple roads for overnight. That was about it. But up in Cobb County, it's one of the counties that he represents, they got hit pretty hard.
Yes.
And, I mean, he was just doing yeoman's work, just out everything he could. So folks up in his district very lucky to have him.
I think that they really are. Now, one thing I was kind of studying some of your bio and stuff the other day. Now, is it true you were born in Spain?
I was. My dad was in the Air Force, so I was born at Torrejon Air Base in Madrid.
Okay. Yeah, my dad was Air Force. Well, you know, we may have talked about this when I had you on the show years ago. He was on the B-17s in World War II.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I seen a video of you, and I hope you don't mind. I shared it on Facebook, and you might remember the video. It's a very touching. I mean, it almost got me choked up just watching it. But can you share that story? I guess a mother showed you a picture of her son or something. Do you remember that interview you did?
Yeah. So, you know, people ask me what the best thing about WWE was, and I really didn't realize it until after I kind of retired, and that's the impact you have on people. And every once in a while, someone will tell me a story about, you know, how they were going through a tough time, and it was an escape through wrestling. You know, it sounds weird, but it's true. You know, see the fantasy world where you have larger than life characters and good versus evil and all that sort of stuff, and the good guy wins. So one night, my wife and I were at Thompson Bowling Arena. We were there for a concert, and I was getting popcorn and soda out in the hallway, and this lady comes up to me, and she said that she'd been looking for me, and pulls out her phone and starts scrolling through the pictures, and she shows me a picture of me and a young man in a hospital bed, a young boy, and that was from East Tennessee Children's Hospital. I visited him while I was there, and that was the last picture she'd taken while her son was alive. So it just put a lot of things in perspective for me, and I realized that the gift that WWE really gave me was that emotional impact on people.
Yeah.
And it was pretty. That was pretty touching. I was like you. I bowed. I'm supposed to be a big tough guy, and about had to say, "Lady, here, make me cry here."
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I am glad that she did that because, again, that's something I didn't realize until I start hearing these stories. I'm like, wow, that's the coolest part of the whole deal. That's something that not many people get to experience.
Well, so many people. I mentioned you yesterday in our Bible study. We've got a Bible study called Men of Hope, and got up to about 170 guys. We may have 35 guys there, and Hope Fellowship, Lee Victory Parkway, and I mentioned you, and I've seen a lot of guys' eyes kind of perk up, and they walking over to me. It's like, oh man, I watched Kane for years, this and that, So you kind of. I mean, a lot of folks can relate to you. Well, let me ask you about this Trump election. Were you pretty excited about the president?
Yeah,
President-elect?
I'm very excited about. Yeah, I'm really excited. If you think about it, I think that him losing in 2020 actually. If he'd have won again, he had a second term, which would have been fine. He would have done a good job. But now you can really tell that basically by being persecuted by the Department of Justice and some of the other things that have happened, I think this administration is going to be transformational. I mean, we need this. Good Lord. We have $36 million in debt.
Yes.
So when I'm hearing people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy talking about the Department of Government Efficiency and really shaving back the federal government, eliminating some departments that are unconstitutional and unnecessary, I'm just really excited. And obviously, this election, I think our country is at an inflection point. And we were either going to go down the road towards socialism, right?
Yes.
Or I think that with Trump now, we've seen just brakes have been put on, and that's come to a screeching halt.
Yes.
So I really am excited about it, and I do think that this time things are going to be a lot different, and I look forward to that.
Yeah, I know Jeremy sent out requested members to sign a letter supporting that Pete. I can't never pronounce the last name. Hedgepeth. How do you say his last name?
Yeah, Hegseth.
And I'm sure he'll get 100% of folks sign. I appreciate Jeremy's leadership doing that.
Yeah, so I sat next to Pete at a fundraiser for a Christian school in Knoxville a couple months ago. And this is long before anything, being Secretary of Defense was on anyone's radar or anything like that. He's a smart guy. I mean, he served 20 years in the military. I think he was 3 tours in Afghanistan. He's a decorated combat veteran. He has degrees from Princeton and Harvard. All this stuff of, he's not qualified. No. What it is, he's not part of the establishment.
Yes, amen.
And the establishment is pushing back on anybody who they feel is going to come in and make some real changes. And I think that he would make some real changes.
Yes.
And we need a strong military, obviously. But what we've seen with the military as far as the DEI stuff, the wokeism and all that, the amount of money that's wasted, we need someone who's going to go in and really clean house and get things back in order. And I think he's the guy.
I was talking to a Jewish friend of mine yesterday. He's going to be at our event, and he drives a Tesla. But he's not. This guy's not conservative, and I was asking him about Elon Musk. He was like, he's an interesting person, just very unique individual, but very brilliant individual. It seems like Trump, tries to have folks with a lot of gifts and talents around him to help him accomplish his mission. But speaking of the persecution he's went under, I mean, really, even folks that are non-believers, even folks that don't even like Trump, you got to admit the probability of everything he's been through, and he's overcame that. Even the shooting, I mean, how close that was. It's really miracle after miracle after miracle. And that's how I see it. I mean, how do you see that, especially going back on the shooting?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that we were inches away, not even inches away, actually less than an inch away from
millimeters.
Millimeters
away.
Country. And the fact that he moved his head at the last second, it just, and I didn't realize there were multiple shots fired. It wasn't just one that hit him in the ear. There had been multiple shots coming at him. But all of that stuff, as well as the Department of Justice, and essentially throwing everything that they could at him, and overcoming that, I think he is the right person for this particular time, Fred, for sure.
Oh, amen. Let me ask you, going back on the media, have they been pretty kind of fair to you as Knox County mayor for the past 6 years?
Local media is a lot better than national media.
Yes.
Because you can build relationships with people, and they're not as agenda driven. Now, there are a couple outlets that I don't get along with as well as others.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, man. It's like, look, if I mess up, or if you don't agree with me, fine, but just don't make stuff up, right?
Yes.
And the national media does that. They're doing it now with Pete Hegseth, right? You do all this stuff with anonymous sources and this and that. No, that's just a crock. Okay, they're just finding things that they can further their agenda.
Yes.
So for the most part, the media has been pretty fair. There's been a couple times, obviously, that again with certain outlets, and I'm like, oh, that's not cool. But for the most part, they have treated me pretty well. And frankly, we need a media that does hold people's feet to the fire.
Oh, definitely.
I believe in transparency, and one of the issues when folks lose trust in the media, which has happened
It has.
at the national level, that's when you have the bad players are like, well, I can just do anything I want because no one's going to believe when the media reports this anyway. And you do not want to be in that situation. So
Yes.
I think that, unfortunately, the media and the decline of the media, it's not good. It's not good for anybody.
Yes. And that's, I've been going back to school learning journalism. In fact, I found out this week I can graduate this month. I thought I needed one more class in the fall, and they're telling me a class I took 8 years ago qualifies, and so give God the glory for it, because the class wasn't going to be offered till like I say the fall. So
when do you walk?
I'm not going to walk.
You're not going to walk. Okay.
Man, we were going to come.
We were going to show up. We were going to show up with air
this
horns
is,
and everything.
Yeah, but what motivated me to go back to school and work on a second degree in media was the false narratives, the fake news. The media tries to play the race card to divide America. My assistant's African American. My interns are African American. I got a new intern, African American. I've got an award from Alpha Phi Alpha, the black fraternity. They're never going to tell you those things, because if it doesn't fit their message, they won't report it. Even my professor, Dan Eschenfelder, hopefully you don't mind me mentioning him, he's seen what was going on with me, Mayor. He said, man, what the media is doing to you is unethical. I said, now you know why I'm coming back here to learn journalism. He said, I've never seen that like it. But what happens when we lose local journalism, then it's all national. It's all huge corporations. 90% of the media is controlled by 5 huge corporations. And I think folks like Soros have influence with them. I think they have an agenda to divide this country, to keep us fighting, to keep these endless wars going on. And that's what I tell people here locally. Support local journalism. Support the Pulse. Support the Murfreesboro Post, Main Street Media. Dave Gold, he owns 15 newspapers up here. And, who goes in the newspaper business when you're seeing all this fallout? But somebody like Dave Gold, which is a great guy that you should meet next time you're coming to Nashville. Speaking of Nashville, when are you going to come visit Nashville?
Not sure. I've been over for some stuff last month, but now we're kind of settling things down going into Christmas. So, but I'm sure that I will see you once session starts again, and you guys will be taking up some issues that will impact Knox County. So.
Yes, well, we had I was on the way up here, a friend Roger Thomas up here with Sam Davis home. I was telling them, because we were talking about that I knew you couldn't come in. Rex told me that you couldn't make it on January the 4th at our history series, prayer breakfast that morning, then the chili cook-off. And I was reminded, he said, well, we need a backup date in case it gets snowed out. I said, you know what happened? I said, we got snowed out. You remember the first year you were coming? And what I appreciate about you, Mayor, you were still coming. You were still going to come out. But I think what happened, West Tennessee got the snow. It was drifting to us, Middle Tennessee, and it hadn't hit you yet. And people are like, you're going to have to cancel. You got to cancel. And then the police put out an alert, stay off the roads. And I'm like, what do I do? Do I stay off the roads? But I wanted you to come in. I thought, well, if you're coming in, I'm going to get on the road. And I knew a few other people would. And then y'all started shutting down. And then we rescheduled, and you came in very graciously. And I always appreciate you talking with, there was a guy at our chili cook-off you came to at Gateway Classic Cars. There was a guy in a wheelchair. He was special needs. And he had, I guess it's some kind of wrestling belt or a replica belt of yours or something.
Yeah.
And you spent a lot of time with him. That meant a lot to me and meant a lot to him and his friends that were there as well.
Well, I appreciate that. And for anyone out there listening, chili cook-off is a great time. So definitely make sure you make it, because it is a great time. There's good food.
Well, I know it would be hard for you, but we do a prayer breakfast up here at Men of Hope. So if you can ever pop in, we'd love to have you at 7:30. Is it okay? I think you've kind of put together, is it a think tank or exploratory committee about potentially running for governor? Is that okay to ask you on the radio?
Yeah.
I hope it is.
It's actually, so we have a PAC, and it's it's multiple uses. You know, one of those is to support other good Republicans around the state of Tennessee. You know, as far as the governor thing, like we said earlier, my term is up in September 26th. Now, you know, there's still things that are shaking out in Washington.
Yes.
And I'm not really sure completely what I'm going to do at this point. I think it's important, you know, that all of us, no matter where we are, if you're looking at public service, it really is about service. It really is about where you would best fit for, in this case, the people of Tennessee. So it's something that, you know, thinking about the future, but I haven't made any decisions.
Yes, yes. Well, I always appreciate you taking the time out with us. I was researching some quotes you gave, and I'm going to read 3 quotes that I found that you gave that I thought was really, really pertinent to the times that we're in. You said, "I believe in serving the community, making a positive impact on people's lives." That's definitely something we need. On leadership, leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. On resilience, the journey isn't always easy, but it's through challenges that we grow. So the challenges throughout your wrestling career, I was researching some of that to where you kind of find, I don't know if you kind of find your sweet spot or your niche. Can you elaborate a little bit about the challenges you faced during your career?
Oh, sure. It actually started before I began my wrestling career. I was playing college football, looked like I might have a chance to play in the NFL, and blew my knee out, and that was the end of my football career. Really trying to figure out what I wanted to do that still involved sports and athletics, and that's really how I came onto professional wrestling. I'd always been a fan, but not something that I thought I would do with my life. And then it's just you know, things change, right?
Yes.
And even in the wrestling world, you're constantly trying to keep up. You're always on the road, working hard, and you have to reinvent yourself and always try to improve and figure out the best way to connect with the audience, as well as just life.
Yeah.
Life happens, and unfortunately adversity happens, and a lot of times things are out of your control. I always tell young people that life is not fair.
Yeah.
Things just happen, and nothing you can do about it. A lot of times it's not your fault, but it is what it is. And it's true, though. The most important thing is not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you.
Yes.
And if you can do that well, you've got a leg up on a lot of folks, unfortunately, who, when they face adversity, aren't able to bounce back.
You know, one of the areas that I've tried to touch on as a lawmaker for the past several years, and even running resolutions about mentorships, about the fatherless, and it seems like that's an area of life that we really don't talk about. The media is not going to talk about it. I guess it's politically incorrect to talk about it. But what 3 people impacted your life the most?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it would have to be my coaches, actually.
Yeah.
When I think back to my early life, my 8th grade basketball and football coach. I mean, I was the socially awkward kid, just very unpopular, and he kind of took me under his wing. And I'll never forget when I graduated from 8th grade, he wrote my yearbook, "You're a star, Glenn," and I mean that was just the coolest thing ever, right? And then my English teacher through middle school was a great guy, and just cared about people and cared about kids. And then my college basketball coach, I was going through a hard time. He took a chance on me when he didn't have to, and if he hadn't done that, my life wouldn't be what it is now. And it's funny because people ask me, "Oh, what's The Rock like?" or "What's The Undertaker like?"
I was fixing to ask you all that. Yeah.
But those are the people that actually had the biggest impact on my life, and it's probably true for everybody. It's the people you never, the public never hears about or doesn't know.
Yes.
Are the people that really help shape you.
Yes. Well, if you do run for governor, I mean, I hope those are issues that you'll help champion. I know Governor Bill Lee has championed them as well, and he's got a great heart for people. You know, we've got a massive drug problem, drug epidemic, and I think we have addressed it. You know, I've got a mental health event tomorrow at Motlow College, and you know, we've had a suicide here at MTSU, had one last year. I think I think y'all had one, I believe, but a month or two ago. Vanderbilt, I heard, had one. Tennessee Tech had one. I know that's an issue that you care about, is the mental health a problem, but boy, Mayor, it just seems like it's a different world today than when you and I were kids.
I 100% agree. I have 2 grandkids, and they're absolutely awesome people. I don't know if I would survive in the world they're growing up in.
Yes.
Because it's just so much more complicated and just so much more stuff going on. As you said, a lot of our issues, I think, are really due to the breakdown of the family and breakdown of society's building blocks. The family, the church, other civic organizations.
Yeah.
So I think you're exactly right. Those are things that government can solve, frankly.
Yeah.
So that's stuff that as communities and as society we have to work on. We can't just throw it at government and expect it's going to be solved. It won't be.
Yes, it's like I've heard John DeBerry say, you know, it's hard to legislate your way out of problems. And John DeBerry, you know, the Democrat Party kicked him off the ballot. The media's never going to tell you that. CNN's not going to talk about it. It's one of the darkest times that I've ever seen. Probably the darkest moment of politics I've ever witnessed, where you have a man that walked with Dr. King, marched with Dr. King, was at the mountaintop speech. He was the strongest voice of the Democrat Party in the Tennessee General Assembly, strongest voice for the fatherless, for the unborn, and they voted to take him off the ballot. People don't know the things that I see, and it's just dark forces. But what they meant for evil, God meant for good, because, you know, the governor ended up hiring him, and now his voice is even stronger. So it's a good testament of how, like Joseph in the Bible, where God, those folks meant for evil, and it's dark. There's some dark forces out there, folks. We never hear the word evil, but it's evil. And now God lifted John up. In fact, John will be at our chili cook-off, and but John, just such a great guy. Going back so the coaches, teachers made a difference in your life. Who inspired you to run for politics?
I didn't really have anyone that inspired me per se. I mean, I have folks that I like in elected office. For me, it's just the fact I've had an unbelievable life. I grew up in Missouri on a small farm, and my family didn't have a whole lot. I was just able to find something I was good at, travel the world, do all sorts of amazing things. I've been incredibly blessed, and I think that's only possible in America. I'm a product of the American dream. So for me, it's like someone who has been such a beneficiary of that. If I don't step up and do what I can to ensure that goes on for another generation, well, I just think that's what's expected, right? I'm a big believer in what President Reagan said, that freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction.
Amen.
And I want to make sure that I do my part, that it's not going to be my generation that allows that to happen.
Yes, let's hope not. You know, Reagan's no doubt a great person to follow for young folks or even old folks. You know, I always liked his quote about the 9 most terrifying words in the English language. You know, if I've got it right, I'm here from the government and here to help. You know, a lot of times when the government gets involved, I've seen a lot of. I mean, I've seen a black church locked out of my community by government, not Smyrna. I've seen mandated sprinkler systems in businesses and churches, and trying to shut them down. The First Amendment's under attack. People may think that sounds conspiratorial, but hey, follow me. I'll take you to the places. I'll show you what's happened to people. Try to start a small business today. I think I shared with you, you know, my first business was a fitness center at 21, and I don't know if I got to share that one of the guys that came in there went to wrestle with Andre the Giant one time. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and I remembered it was comical when I look back. You know, I only had the gym for a few years. This is just 21, And it's right, if folks know where the print shop is, right there beside Mr. Wilson. In fact, I waved at Mr. Wilson. He's shut down after 30-something years. And this guy, he really wasn't a big guy. He wasn't strong, really, really kind of weak. And he was going through that Nick Gulas wrestling training academy back in the day. And and I've seen this guy, you know how like Saturday Night Live would pick up a rag doll and throw it around, spin it, and then slam it? I was watching, I forgot it was WWF or whatever, and I remember seeing it in Andre the Giant, and the guy comes to the gym like a couple days later, says, yeah, I wrestled Andre the Giant. I was like, man, that was you. And he got paid, I think, $75. They paid for his hotel. I mean, he just got slammed all over that ring, and I had the Rock and Roll Express. You ever remember those guys?
Oh yeah,
Tommy Morton.
Ricky
Morton, yeah.
Ricky Morton, yeah.
What's he doing now?
He has a little wrestling school here up in Upper East Tennessee, and still just goes out and does some wrestling conventions and those sort of things.
You know,
Tommy Rich. I think he's with Tommy Rich, isn't it? Is it Ricky Morton and Tommy Rich or something like that? I used to print Nick Gudas' wrestling cards back in the day. That's why I knew a little bit about this.
Did you know you know Nick Gulas, Mayor?
I did not. I never met him. No, I think he was out of the wrestling business before I got into it.
Ricky, you know, he was very talented, and I remember he pulling up in a station wagon that had the wood grain on the side of it, you know, and I just thought it was so odd. And he would tell me, he's like, I didn't really know the guy because, you know, I didn't follow wrestling. Like, you know, Macho Man was the big deal back then. And he said, you give me one of your shirts, because I sold some, you know, shirts, like, you know, gym shirts. He said, give me a shirt and I'll wear it. And I was like, I won't give it to you, but I'll sell it to you, because I've always been pretty frugal. And people are like, don't you know who this guy is? So I gave him a shirt. And people seen it. He was at the Omni wrestling. People, man, I seen your shirt. It was pretty cool, you know. But what else can you know? When you came to my event, I had a lot of folks in Nashville. They may not want me to share. Well, I'm gonna share the name, Melissa Bass. I don't know if you know Melissa. She's out of Memphis. Fred Thompson's son Tony Thompson asked me about you. They said, is he going to run for governor? And I never thought about that. And I was like, I hadn't heard anything. And they really talked highly of you, and thought you'd have a good chance at carrying West Tennessee. I don't know if anybody's told you that.
Well, that Brent the senator? Brent
yeah, it's Fred's son, Tony. I hope Tony doesn't get mad at me talking about him live on the radio, but he just said, man, he really liked you, and so did Melissa Bass. And Melissa, I call the fireworks girl. She's into, you know, fireworks business, and she's been around Nashville for a long time. But she really, you know, I think she lives in Nashville, but out of Memphis. But I just remember distinctly her for sure talking about Memphis, that you're a guy who could carry Memphis or West Tennessee. I mean, has anybody shared that with you?
I mean, just a little bit, maybe, you know, just talk with
I know I'm putting you on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's so Brent Taylor he's hilarious. He's got a great sense of humor. For those who don't know, he is a real life mortician. He owns some funeral homes, and we were at an event together. Actually, it was in Blount County, and Congressman Byron Donalds was there. He was a speaker, and he's a big wrestling fan, and I know him. We've run into each other over the years. But anyway, it's so funny because he said something about, well, I knew Kane was going to be here, but I knew Kane was going to be here, but I didn't realize the Undertaker was going to be here too.
Oh, really?
Like the greatest thing ever, man.
that is cool. You know, when I first met Haslam, I told him, I said, you're going to be next governor. And he says, what are you, psychic? I said, well, I had a dream. I mean, I literally had a dream. I won and he won. I was running for state rep. People didn't think I could win. But for the record, I'll just tell you straight up, Haslam's people tried to bump me off. I mean, I probably shouldn't share this live on the radio, but I am. They spent about $150,000 against me. But I liked Haslam. I just, you know, I asked for the commissioner of education to resign, but so did half the school superintendents across the state. I think 66. You know, when you got half the school superintendents don't believe in your commissioner of education, lawmakers need to listen in to it. But I'm a Christian believer. I believe in forgiveness. But they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I'm sure you're a testament with all things you've had to overcome and throughout your career, and even being in mayor position for the past 6 years.
Yeah, it's the mayor job it's a lot of fun in that, and it's very rewarding in that you get to meet a lot of folks and see some good things happening in your community, as well as hopefully influence things in a positive direction. At the same time, it sometimes feels like my job is just putting out fires all the time.
Yes.
And that's just the way that it goes, especially with the Knox County is not a small place. You have 500,000 people. We have about 2,500 folks that work for Knox County, not including the school system.
Wow.
So that's just a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And I guess I should be thankful because even though it feels like I'm putting out fires a lot more could go wrong that doesn't.
Yes.
Right? Just because we're such a big organization. That's true, obviously. It's even bigger when you're talking about the state of Tennessee.
Yes.
But we have great people in Knox County, and I have a great team. And I think that is so much of being successful in any area is surrounding yourself with competent, good people who can do the job.
Yes.
And I've been very fortunate that I've been able to do
Now,
that.
how many county commissioners are on your commission?
We have 11. We have 9 districts, and we have 2 at-large commissioners.
Wow, we've got 21 here. Is your commission? I'm assuming you're going to say they're great to work with. I mean, are they good to work with?
Yeah, they are. They are now. We've had, obviously, with the last election, we had a little bit of turnover, so we have some new folks that are still getting their feet under them and still kind of building some relationships with those folks. But I have been very fortunate because in my 6 years, I've had very good commissions to work with.
Now, do y'all do much together? Like, do y'all get to work with your fellow school board members or city council, do things together, or have lunches or dinners or anything together?
Yeah, we try. A lot of it is just we're at the same functions quite often.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, we'll whether it's a joint meeting or things like that, because even though the organizations are different, the success of our community really does depend on all of us working together, at least as much as we're able.
Yes.
So, and sometimes we're going to have different perspectives, and sometimes we have different jobs, and we have different interests, and those. Well, my job, frankly, a lot of times is to say no when people ask for money. I mean, that's
exactly.
how it is.
Yeah.
And with these other folks, their job is to ask for money. But what's really neat, especially with our school system, is they've been able to find a way to do things, and without doing that, without always coming and asking for more money. They've been able to think creatively, do some things outside the box, and I really appreciate that. And we get along well with the city. Obviously, the city's a little more liberal than the county.
Yes.
But nevertheless, on the things that we both think are important that we can work on together, we do. And then the other stuff, we just kind of agree to disagree.
Yeah, well, you've got some great folks. Elaine Davis, Jason Zachary, Lafferty, and some others that serve with me are just great to work with. I think Jason Zachary pretty good. I'm assuming.
Yep. Jason is a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, Jason.
Great job for the people at Farragut.
I like how he thinks. He's willing to speak up on his faith. But I can tell you, Mayor, I was talking to somebody the other day and forgot who it was. But man, I see such lack of civility today. I think it's worse. Somebody told me the other day, said, "Oh, it's always been that way." I said, "No, it's worse today than it was 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 20 years ago." There just seems like there needs to be. I don't know if it's more communication building, team building. UT Knoxville offers that new freshman legislator course. I don't know if they do that with aldermen or city council or school board members, but I think it's a great program. I mean, case in point, tomorrow I've got a Democrat showing up at my event. He cares about the mental health area, that we've got at Motlow tomorrow, and you said you got 2 grandbabies or 2 grandkids. How old are your grandkids?
They're 16 and 9, actually. My granddaughter will be driving. Which
Oh, wow.
Pretty terrifying.
Yes, I should say so. Yeah. Well, let me ask you: when you had grandkids, did it kind of change your perspective on life a little bit?
Yeah, and for me more so than a lot. My stepdaughters, actually, I got them when they were 9 and 12. So I wasn't there when they were born or during the early years, but I was in the room when my granddaughter was born.
Yes.
And that is, it's just very profound, right? And I'll never forget, first time I held her, I mean, I could literally hold her with one hand.
Oh, I bet.
And to see her now, and she's just a great young lady, and her mom is a wonderful parent. But to see her now and to think back to, my goodness, right, that she was just this little thing that just ate and screamed.
Yes.
That was about it. It is, it really does. It really does change you, because then you realize, well, this whole thing isn't really about me.
Yes, amen.
It's
yes.
about them.
Yes,
right?
That's what I'm getting at.
And ensuring that they're safe, and that you're doing everything you can so that they can have the same opportunities that I had.
Yes,
right? They can live the life that they want to live.
Well, you mentioned that earlier about the challenges. I bought my first home at 22. Wife was 18. I was 22. We got married, and I look back at the opportunity that started my first business at 21. Today, young people, that's just so far out of reach. I mean, it's just I feel the pain of this. I got a 2-year-old named Grace, another one. He's 2 months old, and I worry what the future is for them. I mean, what the future of the safety. We're right outside of Nashville. Every you turn on the news, there's some shooting in Antioch, some shooting in Nashville, and it's just. I mean, I know you probably have pockets of that in Knox County, but it just seems like folks need to work together today. And man, Nashville, it sometimes it can get very tearing on you, with all the fighting and stuff that goes on. So I just hope people can work together. And I do think if you do run for governor, I think you can bring some of that to the table. And I kind of see you as a civil libertarian type mindset. I hope that's okay to say, where, less government, but more power to the people, and we the people, and free market, and self-determination, and the pioneering spirit like our forefathers had.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking my language, and you're exactly right. Even since I got involved, which now is only, I started campaigning a couple of years before I got into office. So 7-8 years ago, the political environment was not nearly as toxic or as contentious as it is now.
Yes.
And I think, this is partisan, but I think a lot of that is the far left that has caused that to happen. You're talking about John DeBerry earlier, and there's a guy who is a Democrat, but on most things, easy to work with, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going for the same goal. How you get there might be different, but in the end, the goal is the same.
Yes.
And I think with the far left, that the goal is not the same anymore. Now they want to destroy the country.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of common sense Democrats have gotten pulled into it, I think.
Yeah.
And again, that's not good, because you always want an opposition party. You always want that because it keeps everyone honest.
Yes.
And again, when we might disagree on how to get there, but this is where we want to go. You can work with those people.
Yes.
But when everything is now just about obstructionism and standing in the way, for instance, the Tennessee last session became one of the states calling for congressional term limits.
Yes.
That is a popular position across the political spectrum, okay? Almost 80% of Americans overall agree that Congress should be term limited. It is a little higher among Republicans, but it's still well over 70%.
Yes. Much like school choice. Yeah, much like school
Yep.
choice.
Well, here's the deal, though, Mike. I don't think a single Democrat in the House voted for term limits.
No, I don't believe they did.
It was a Republican-sponsored bill.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. If Glenn's not going to run, obviously, in the Democrat primary.
Yeah.
But if I were, that would be something that I would talk about, is how the fact that, your people in office voted against this, and it's something that everybody wants. But the sole reason is because it's a Republican bill.
Yeah.
And we've got to get over that. And we got to get back to the days of Tip O'Neill, Ronald Reagan, to where you could actually at least talk about things. And again, you might not agree, but I find that even talking with folks who I don't agree with, they may not change my mind, but what they'll sometimes do is they'll sometimes bring objections that I haven't thought of, and be like, yeah, that's a good point. That needs to be addressed.
Yes.
So, just this vitriol, it is not good for anybody. And as you say, I hope that moving into the future that we can remember that we're Americans first, we're Tennesseans first, and everything else is second.
Well, Reagan had a good quote. He said, if I find something that agrees with me 80% of the time, that's 80% friend, not a 20% traitor. Speaking of the far left, about 5 years ago, I had a phone call from an attorney. He says, hey, man, we're hearing Antifa's up here. You're a target. Be careful. And I was flying out with General Hastings to California to watch the 278 do maneuvers. And I told my wife, I said, here's these life insurance policies. I mean, it kind of sounds kind of comical. I said, I got these life insurance policies. Something happens to me. Don't spoil my kids. You put money in trust and invest it wisely. And that night she called me. There was seven cops out front, 3 a.m, 6 protesters beating the drum, yelling through a bullhorn, and just disrupting my whole neighborhood. The cops just run them off. The cops should have cited them, got their names. Somebody should investigate. Who are these people? Who's paying these people? And that's what gets me upset with my own party. I mean, TBI is not looking at it. Who are these people? I mean, they terrorize my family, terrorize my neighbors. And but here's the point I'm making. They never once emailed me. They never once called. They never once wanted to have dialogue. They just want to come in and just terrorize. And maybe God didn't want me to be there for a reason, but the defund the police movement and all this, and men, transgenders competing in women's sports. I mean, it's all just, our forefathers would be rolling over in their grave. I mean, they'd be thinking it's just crazy.
These are things that just a few years ago.
Yeah.
We could all agree on, and now all of a sudden.
I know. There's
a completely different direction.
Well, I've got a lot of African American interns throughout the years, and one come to my office just a couple weeks ago. She voted for Trump. Another girl voted for Trump. My former assistant's African American. He voted for Trump. So one thing I like about the African American community, I think they're starting to wise up and see what's going on. Well, Mayor, it's been an honor and a pleasure for you to call in and any final words in our last 3 minutes here?
Well, I just hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas season. This is one of my favorite times of the year, obviously, and we need to remember the reason for the season. At the same time, I think that we would all be better off if we were to take that Christmas spirit with us the rest of the year and not just in December.
Yes.
So, but I hope everybody has a great Christmas.
Yes, and I was thinking, do you ever dress up as Santa? I was kind of picturing a big Santa outfit,
No, I'm more of the Grinch type.
Oh, the Grinch, yeah. Well, but I love what you talk about. You look at Jesus talking about the greatest commandment, second greatest commandment is love your neighbor, like yourself. And I think that's the only thing that's going to change this country is getting back. And Christians need to start being bold. Don't be worried about criticism. And really, we should look for the opportunity to be criticized because, it's like my dad that flew on the B-17s. You're over the target when you're catching flack, and they caught a lot of flack that shot a lot of those guys down, sadly, that never returned home. Mayor, we appreciate you, and you're welcome to come on our show anytime. And I know Austin Maxwell would love to have you at our GOP office, and as well as Mayor Joe Carr would love to have you over here at a meet and greet sometime soon, okay?
That sounds great. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you too, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
We'll see you. yeah, didn't know how long we'd have him on. Jeremy, how's things going? You got anything you want to get into the next few minutes?
You know, I actually was gonna talk about some stuff that's happened over the past few weeks, but as soon as I walked in that door, I was like, "What was I gonna talk about?"
Yeah, you know, I didn't really get to our commercials. I just hit some of them. Mark Lewis Agency. Appreciate Mark's support. The yard sale. Now, I think they're calling it the what's it called?
The big burrito.
No. They're renaming it the yard sale. It's called Overstock Outlet.
Okay.
Yeah. Danny Brewer, Dr. Automotive, Jim Africano, Affy Pest Control. I'll just hit some of these guys. Josh Mosh, Affordable Housing. Affordable Heating and Cooling. If you need any heating and cooling, Josh is great. Just Google him. That's another one of those God stories. No, we were cutting up on the way up here. You brought up the burrito story. Why'd you bring it up?
Well, you worked at Taco Bell, and I said, you ever make burritos? I think it could be the state record. The one you
I
told me
got in trouble. Yeah, I said, I was working
6
there.
pounds, 7 pounds? How much was it?
He made me weigh it. And he was like, look, we got to account for all this cheese and beef. And it was like, it was huge, you know. But I made a little Facebook Live at the Christmas parade, and I said, I just work here. He shook up my buddies and get everybody Mountain Dew and Pepsi back in the day.
Yeah, I saw it on the parade, and I said, oh, that's where it went down, the big burrito.
Candy, you know. No, I do want to get Joe Walls and Polly up sometime to talk about some stories of the old Omni Hut. And Omni Hut's just, I miss Omni Hut. Everybody misses Major Walls, Sally Walls.
And don't forget our big chili cook-off, January the 4th, from 7:30 to 9, Men of Hope prayer breakfast. And, we're going to have all speakers all day and chili, bluegrass, and we'll talk about it a little bit next week.
Yeah, I appreciate Paul Lamb and Derek Rayburn. We got to cut the chili, we're going to cut it off 20 pots. So if folks want to enter, find me on Facebook or text me, 525-3198. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Ricardo, being in the studio. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Yep.
Roger. Folks, we'll see you next week.